Welcome to the channel. In this video I will show you how to make this DIY solar extension cable with these MC4 connectors. MC4 connectors are by far the most common connectors used on solar panels. I will show you how to select the correct solar wire and how to install these MC4 connectors. Let's get to it. If you learn to put MC4 connectors on solar cables, you will not only have the cable's exact length you need, but you'll be able to tackle just about any situation that involves solar cables. There's been times where I've had to cut off the MC4 connectors off the cable so I could fish the wire through a small opening or something. And then I had to install new connectors on the end. After watching this video, and with a little practice, you'll be able to build solar cables like a pro. If you are just wanting to watch me install the MC4 connectors, go down to the chapters below and jump to that part of the video. If you have not seen MC4 connectors before, let me show you just a little bit about them. Here is the anatomy of MC4 connectors. All these pieces work together to make sure this connection is watertight. The male MC4 connector is on the left and the female is on the right. These can be confusing when you first start working with them because the male connector actually has a female terminal inside, and the female connector actually has a male terminal on the inside. So to connect the MC4 connectors, you basically just take the pieces and push them together until it's completely shut. Now, you may have heard that little click. Sometimes you don't hear that little click. I've noticed, but just give it a good tug to make sure it's connected. And if you can see these little indentions, these little tabs right here, top and the bottom, to get this opened up, you have to be able to squeeze these together, like so, and then pull it apart. Now, that takes a little practice. The first time I started doing this, it was very difficult for me until I finally figured it out. If you found that you are having trouble separating the MC4 connectors, there's a Bouger kit I'm going to show you in a little bit that shows you how to, it comes with this tool that you can actually, it helps you open it. So you take this end right here and you stick it right over those little tabs, push it to, and then pull, and it comes right apart. I don't need that tool anymore. I'm able to do it just by my fingers now, and you will eventually get that way too. If you are building a complete solar extension cable, then you'll first need to select the wire for the cable. So you don't want to choose just any cable. This is PV or solar cable here, and this is a stranded copper cable that I suggest getting. It's tin coated in this case. This wire comes with thicker insulation, tougher insulation. It can stand up very well to the harsh UV rays, cold temperatures. It's made for outdoor use. It's actually rated for direct burial. Of course, you're going to need both the positive and the negative wire, and a lot of times you'll find these sold together just like this. After ensuring you're looking at the right wire now, you now need to determine the size of the wire that you need. In most situations, I've seen 10 gauge wire being used. That's what this is here. That will work in the majority of the cases. However, you need to make sure you get the gauge of wire that fits your needs. If you choose a wire that's too small, you could be creating a fire hazard. The wire you choose is based on the current or amps going through the wire. That amount of current going through the wire depends on your situation and your solar panels, your charge controller. So every situation is different. I have a chart in just a second I'll show you that will help you as a general guide to choose the right size wire. Here are a couple examples. If you have just a single panel like this one on the left wired up to your solar charge controller, this panel here produces 11 amps. According to this chart, you should use a 12 gauge wire. But if you wire all 4 of these panels in series like they are here, the voltage goes up, but the amps stay the same. So still, you would use a 12 gauge wire according to the general guideline chart. But if you wire these 4 panels in parallel, or wire 2 of them in series and 2 in parallel, let's do that. Let's say we have 2 in series and then those 2 together are wired in parallel. You'll have 22 amps. According to the chart, you should use 10 gauge wire. So basically, you just have to calculate how many amps will be going through your wire and choose the correct size. You also need to consider the length of the wire. When you have long spans of wire, there's something that occurs that's called voltage drop. This just means that you have a cable and the amount of voltage going in to the cable is actually less when it comes out on the other end. The thicker the wire, the less voltage drop you have, and the shorter the wire, obviously, the less voltage drop you'll have. I would say if you have, 10, 25 feet something of wire, I wouldn't worry about it very much, but if you have longer than that, I would say you should definitely take that in consideration. It's just a matter of how much voltage drop is acceptable to you. Voltage drop is a subject that could be a whole video on itself, so I'm not going to go into more detail on that. I'll put a link down below in the description to a good video that does cover that in depth. There's also online calculators out there that can help you with this. When I installed my mobile solar array, I had to run about 70 feet of solar wire, so I actually ended up going with 8-gauge wire because of the voltage drop. The MC4 connectors you buy typically state the wire size in AWG that can be used with them. Most that I've seen only support up to 10-gauge wire, so be careful when you purchase those. Now that you've selected the right solar wire to purchase, you'll need to buy MC4 connectors. You can buy the MC4 connectors like this in a pack of 8 sets. Then you'll have to buy your tools, but I just went ahead and bought this Bougerville kit here. It came with a crimping tool and the tools to help tighten the MC4 connectors and take them off, and it comes with 6 sets of MC4 connectors, and each set can make one complete wire. So you'll need 2 of these to make one positive and one negative wire. I purchased this cable, this solar cable here on Amazon, but I just wanted to point something out here. So when you build a cable, for example, when we build the positive wire in just a minute, you will put a female connector on one end of the cable and a male on the other, just like that. One thing I wanted to point out is that on solar panels, the positive connection should always be a male connector. That's because the current coming from the panel will flow in this direction. Now let me show you how to make these wires. This is 10-gauge solar wire. This cable would just be used for general purpose. So the first step is to strip the wire about 1/2 inch. Be careful not to cut the wire strands. Let's do the positive wire first. Since we are first connecting the male connector, you need to slide the female terminal over the wire and crimp it using this crimping tool from Bougerville kit. Choose the correct slot in the crimping tool for the correct wire size you have. I'm using a 10-gauge wire. This curve should be positioned like it is here so that the terminal curves over and on into the wire when properly crimped. If you position it incorrectly, you may not get a good crimp. Now squeeze as far as it will go and release. Look at the crimp and make sure the terminal folded both sides over on and into the cable. After the crimp, slide these 2 pieces over the wire like this. Then slide the male body over and push down until you hear a click. Don't forget to slide these pieces over first or you will have wasted this terminal. Simply twist the base until tight. You can use these tools to ensure a tight fit. These tools go on like this and you turn it until it slips loose. It kind of acts like a torque wrench. Now that the male connector is on, give it a tug to make sure it's connected good. Now connect the female connector. It's the same process, just using the female connector. Now the positive wire is complete. You should follow this exact same process for the negative wire. After you complete that, you're pretty much done. You could just leave the cables like this, or what I like to do is take some electrical tape and wrap around to the positive negative wires every few feet. Just keeps them from flopping around so much. Now let's test this new wire we just built. For this test, I'm going to use my Blue 80 AC 200 Max and my Blue 80 350 watt mobile solar panel here. This is a really good panel, high quality panel. I like it a lot. Okay, let's hook it into the AC 200 Max and run out real quick and open up the panel because you don't want to connect or disconnect these wires under load. Okay, so let's open up the Blue 80 app and let's see what it says. Okay, we're pulling in 294 watts. So that cable is working. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video of building your own solar extension cable with MC4 connectors. If you did enjoy it, please like the video. It will help my channel out a whole lot. Also, consider subscribing if you don't want to miss any of my upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.